Well, hello there, guys. It's new DM Ariel back at you coming from Southern California. It's a busy week this week and weekend. I have I'm aware that there was a lot of news that came out of the recent D&D forum that Wizards of the Coast put out. The D&D Direct or whatever that forum that they had on Thursday was called. I think it was called the D&D Direct, where they presented a bunch of new products, information about new games like Baldur's Gate 3, an update on that, and then I know that the big surprises which have been covered in a lot of other channels and other outlets, which are not a huge surprise at this point. And it really wasn't a huge surprise to begin with, was that they were coming out with new settings. One of them was Dragonlance, and the other one is the Dragonlance and the Spelljammer setting, which was the setting book that they teased during the April Fool's release with the little hamster. But now they made it official as of last Thursday. The what was the date on that? The 21st. So, at the time of this recording, this weekend on Sunday, this news has been out for a couple of days now. But like I said, having been trying to catch up, do some catch up work after traveling and some life stuff that got in between, bringing you guys some of these things. But there are some other less prominent announcements that Wizards of the Coast made about D&D and about the upcoming um, releases. So this video will focus on that. So let's go ahead and get started with what's coming up and what some of the news are. Okay, as you can see, we're gonna start off with Action Figure Insider. That's our first news item, and they reported that Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught is coming soon. This came directly from the D&D Direct forum that I was talking about. WizKids is pleased to announce Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught, a new level one. I'm sorry, a new one versus one skirmish game coming in September. So it looks like this is a there's a teaser video, but it looks like it's one of those one v one skirmish, like a minis game that you can use. The D&D games have been really good in terms of like the board games. A lot of the older editions have been really great. The older board games, like you know, the one with the dragon, and the one with I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired from driving, so I'm blanking out on some of these names. But Wrath of Alash, I'm not even going to attempt to say it, but it's basically the one. Well, let's look it up real quick, because just to be complete, there are board games that they put out, um, D&D board games. Wrath of Shardalon. That's the one I was thinking of. So this, I don't know. This one's been out a long time, probably like, at least um, a decade, 10 years. So I think it came out around 2004. Well, I think it correlated with the release of 5e. So it might have been like it might have been around that time. Let's see, 2011. So yeah, it's been around for quite a long time. And this is kind of like different, but sort of like in the spirit of those type of games. Onslaught is a competitive skirmish game in which each player controls an adventuring party from one of the powerful factions of the Forgotten Realms. Parties delve into dungeons, battle and confront rival adventurers, and confront fearsome monsters on a quest for treasure and glory. It said the description says. So it looks like it comes with a lot of components. I mean, you see the usual dungeon tiles that they some of these games are really worth picking up for. It has some cards with some game mechanics on them. Some really nice tokens for conditions I see, for loot, for treasure, and it has some terrain difficulties like spike growths, and it looks like it has some monster cards. So it looks like a pretty good package. So the core set includes everything two players need to play, including 12 characters from two different factions, the Harpers and the Centaurum, a horde of monsters, and an immersive campaign that sends rival parties deep into the depths of a ruined keep to confront a mighty black dragon. So there you see some of the scaled or the some of the proposed minis. So I see like tieflings and dragonborns and fighters, so they're pretty cool. And here's what the monsters look like: some kobolds, and I don't think the set it's included with that, or is it? If it is, it's really a good. Actually, it says 21 painted miniatures, so it looks like that might be included in the set. Three, four, five, seven, eight, nine. Yeah, so all of these come in on the box, which is awesome. Um, Dice, of course. See, a lot of these games didn't really feature, like the one I mentioned earlier from 2011 didn't really have a like any dice. It basically you put the tiles together and you follow the cards. And I remember when I was playing it back in the day with my nephews and other players, I would just kind of homebrew it and just sort of add dice because I think rolling dice is always great. But it's good that this one incorporates the some die rolls, mini cards, scenario guide, and four plastic standees so you can stand up your minis on it. And the SKU for that at 140 bucks. Well, for what you get, 140 bucks is a better buy, in my opinion, than if you were to pick up like the gift set that they put out for Christmas, which had a lot of recycled material from other books. And the Mordecai's book of monsters was new, but you couldn't buy it separate. You still can't buy it separately until May 1st. So I think this is for that type of money, a much better, uh, a, a better package for this board game. Okay, our second offering is the Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I'm sorry. The Dungeons and Dragons Castle Ravenloft board game came out around the same time as 5e was new, and it's kind of in the vein of the board games that they were doing before, and now they're putting out this new game we saw from the last article. I hate to give Amazon any screen time, but it was the first one that popped up. But this is one game that was kind of um, very popular and it had some really good components. So it's worth picking up just if you're into minis itself. Um, but the next item we're looking at is the Dungeons and Dragons reboot movie, which was announced during the forum on Thursday, last week, a couple of days, not too long ago. This is by Digital Spy by Joe Anderton. When he's talking about the biggest movie coming in 2022. So then let's take a look. Dungeons and Dragons big screen reboot officially has a title. It's called Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Um, Unfortunately, there's no plot details at the moment, so we just have to imagine what the movie is going to be about, he writes. A film with Dungeons and Dragons and Thieves in the name title sounds like it writes itself, but there's so much in the source material to mine that we wouldn't want to hazard a guess at this time. For some reason, they illustrate this article with a lot of the images from the cartoon, which is kind of weird because I think it's a live action movie, but maybe they don't have. There's not a lot of details, and other than the the trailer that they put out. Um, so there you see like Venger. Let's see. What we do know about the movie, it starts Wonder Woman's Chris Pine, the Fast and the Furious Michelle Rodriguez, Pokemon Detective Pikachu's Justice Smith, Bridgerton's Rajon Page. Um, it's Sophia Lillis and Bridget Jones and Paddington 2's Hugh Grant. So I think I've talked about some of this cast before. So they haven't still given us a lot of. I think other than the trailer, they didn't really go into too much about the plot or anything like that because they don't want people to be spoiled. They want people to go see the movie, obviously. As one of the most popular role RPGs in the world, D&D has been adapted for this big screen before. I remember in 2000, It received a critically and commercially unsuccessful film starring Marlon Wayans and Jeremy Irons. I think this movie gets a really bad rap. I've seen it. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So it's I'll have to rewatch it again to refresh my mind because it's been 20 years since I saw it, 22 years. But this movie was followed by two direct-to-video sequels in 2005 and 2013. I think I started to watch one, second one, but I don't remember too much about the plot. Um, so then he talks about the game also received a better received 80s cartoon that was made by Marvel. Yes, that Marvel. And famous Japanese anime studio Toei Animation and feature iconic villain Venger. So that's why he's got this cartoon images. So we know the cartoon was made by Marvel and was more successful than the actual live action film, which came later. Meanwhile, Chris Pine is also said to be returning as Captain Kirk for the fourth Star Trek reboot film. Although we don't care about that. Um, we only care about the D&D movie. So there's not a lot of details on that one. This is kind of more of a wrap up of upcoming movies, I guess. But we do know that the name, and we know that it's gonna release sometime in 2022. I could be mistaken. I'll have to rewatch the trailer, but I don't think we have a release date for it yet, other than we know that it's coming this year. All right, guys. So we're gonna end up with some Spelljammer news because Spelljammer has been confirmed, as I said earlier. Oh, before we go any further, I want to make one correction. I said that the Monsters of the Multiverse book, which was packaged with a gift set for Christmas, is going to hit stores. It's going to be available May 1st. Actually, it's even later than that. It's going to be available next month on May 17th. So you have to wait until mid May to get your hands on that, unless you want to shell out the money for the other repackaged products that it comes with. And I might be too late to do that. I'm not sure, but if you just want the bestiary, the monsters of the multiverse book, you got to wait a little bit for that one. Don't get it. My assertion is unless you don't have Wallo's Guide to Monsters and some of the earlier material, there's very little change in the new book to make it worth the $50, in my opinion. But that's really up to you. So let's look at Spelljammers, D&D Spelljammer setting. Oh, and by the way, this is by Screen Rant. I had another Screen Rant article that I was looking at, but it was talking about Vecna and they changed from second edition to third edition. So we'll save that one for later because it's a little bit longer and more involved. It's kind of not really news uh, per se, but it's more like the lore. And it talks about it's interesting the lore from second and earlier to third edition, but right now, we're focusing on the news, and so we're talking about Spelljammer, which was the other big announcement. Spelljammer setting finally confirms Baldur's Gate joke by Scott Baird a couple days ago. The upcoming Boo's Astral Menagerie book for D&D will finally follow up on a joke from Baldur's Gate that began in 1998. Huh? Yeah. I still have Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. Oops. Uh, was gonna switch over and take a look. But anyway, Wizards of the Coast has finally announced that the Spelljammer campaign setting is returning to D&D, and some of the characters from the Baldur's Gate series will be along for the ride, with Minx and Boo coming to a D&D book. Minx and Boo are already in a D&D book that they put together sort of as a Unearthed Arcana or online, and I think you can even get it as a print on demand. But they're coming back for this new book. One of the party members in the first two Baldur's Gate games is Minx, Rashemi Ranger, who had a hamster named Boo as an animal companion. Minx is adamant that Boo is a miniature giant space hamster, but most believe that Boo is just a regular hamster. Um, yeah, some of these articles they have to explain this stuff that we already know because some people are new to the hobby and there's a way more new people on 5e. If you already know who they are, then you obviously skip that. But if you never heard of Spelljammer before from previous editions or if 5e is like your introduction to Spelljammer setting, then some of this information is new to you. Then he goes on to talk about giant space hamsters were bred by the gnomes of Kryn and put inside big wheels to power their spelljammer ships. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the previous editions of Spelljammer. It's basically D&D in space. Basically, that's the way I I can describe it. And it wasn't super successful. I mean, in comparison, comparatively speaking, you have Eberron and you have that came later for 3.5, and you have some other settings like the Forgotten Realms. And so I'm not sure why they think that Spelljammer is going to be a hit now. Well, it remains to be seen, but it wasn't really popular back in the day. I mean, it has its fans. I guess it has enough fans for them to try to mine the get some new material out of it. Um, it was revealed during the D&D Direct online showcase that the Spelljammer campaign setting is coming to 5e in the Spelljammer Adventures in Space set. It's a set that comes with 3 books, one of which is Boo's Astral Menagerie, which contains information about the monsters in the setting. And then they have a trailer for it, you know. The DMD books that feature a character name in the title will often have that character chiming in throughout the book, such as Fizzban giving his thoughts on dragonkinds in Fizzban's Treasury of Dragons. That was a good book. I'm glad I picked up the Treasury of Dragons, because even though I know all about a lot of the lore for D&D Dragons, there's a lot of specific stuff to 5e, and it also expands on like some of the other races like the Dragonborn. So and it adds some new material, so it's a good buy. Um, but at any rate, the cover art of Boo's Astral Menagerie depicts Mink and Boo traveling through space on the back of a monster, suggesting that they are visiting the Spelljammer setting in one of their new adventures. Okay, that's cool. Sending Mink and Boo off to Spelljammer will finally pay off the joke that started in 1998 when the first Baldur's Gate game was released on PC. Minx can finally learn the plight of the giant space hamster, and Boo can finally have an origin story. Well, that's interesting too. Just learning Mink's thoughts about giant space hamsters will be worth the price of admission alone. I don't know. I mean, it's a $50 book, I'm sure. So it really, if you're really a fan of spacefaring adventures, I guess it's worth it to you. If not, maybe not so much. If you really like Minx and Boo as characters, then you probably want to get your hands on it if it reveals origin. But anyway, Spelljammer Adventures in Space will be released on August 16th. Oh, 2022. Okay, a couple of days after my birthday. So who knows if I'm feeling in the mood for spacefaring adventures, then I could probably pick it up. But here's the thing. They're retooling all these classic settings for fifth edition. So a lot of us that have been playing for a while already have information or modules um, or books, core books, supplement books for these settings. For example, I don't have any Spelljammer stuff because I was more second edition stuff. I was playing like first edition and then skipped all the way to like third or fourth. But I do have a lot of stuff. Well, not a lot, but my fair share of Dragonlance setting, uh, including the novels that inspired the modules. Because when Dragonlance first came out, it was they put out a trilogy of novels, and then they put out a whole bunch more. But the original trilogy was kind of put out to promote the game, and also the modules that were going to be accompanied that are mentioned in the novels. So a lot of people have, if they've been around for a while, they already have a number of Dragonlance modules. Interestingly enough, I think the most fun I've had playing D&D after first edition or second, the early days, was pretty recently, about 5 years ago when I was in Texas and I had a recurring group. And the DM was really good about preparation. And we were playing fourth edition at the time, which I know a lot of people hate, but I had the most fun playing in that campaign because he was using second edition modules, specifically adventures, Dragonlance Adventures, which as a result, I went out and picked up Dragonlance Adventures because I wanted it in my collection, and a lot of the novels. So I read like the first 2 books. I haven't read the last book of the trilogy, but I intend to do that this summer. And so I really like the Dragon's land setting, and so I'm glad that they're finally. I know there was a lawsuit and there was some legal hassles that Wizards of the Coast has to clear before they actually made the setting. But it wasn't really a surprise to a lot of people because they had an Unearthed Arcana that had some information about it, and previous to that, they had settled the lawsuit with the creators, and so I knew that that once that legal hurdle was cleared, that we would probably be getting some Dragonlance because it's got a huge following, probably more than Spelljammer. I'm sure. I could probably say for some with some certainty. So these are this is the trilogy I was talking about. In case some of you are not familiar with the Dragonlance Chronicles, this is the complete set of the first three books that TSR put out in 1984. I was very lucky, and I picked these up in Houston a couple years back. I think they were like a couple bucks each, you know. So this seller, and my apologies to this eBay seller. This is the first one I found. Is asking for 45 bucks, which seems a little high, to be honest. You can find these, that comes out to about 15 bucks a book. I know that they're going to become popular because of the new release, but with shipping along, you if you add the shipping, you're looking at um, over $55 when really you could go scour a couple of used bookstores in your area and you might get lucky and find them like I did. I was able to go to one of the big used bookstore chains in Houston, and I think I paid like maybe 10 bucks for the whole lot. So it's worth checking out though. This is the lore about the Dragonlance universe, and it's really an interesting story. I will say that. So that's all I have for the news for this week, you guys. Trying to get these videos to be more compact and don't want them getting super long. So if you like this, I will continue to update you guys on the news. Give it a thumbs up or hit the like and or subscribe, which is even better. You can help the channel out. And if you feel like it, there's no pressure, but you can go ahead and there's a link to our the Patreon if you want to help the channel grow, so I can make more um, and deliver newsly updates about RPGs and about D&D specifically in the near future. So take care and enjoy. Have a good week.